Good evening, everyone. Sinalize para mim, por favor, como é que está. Se vocês estão me vendo bem, como é que está o áudio. Vou dar um tempinho para o pessoal ir chegando. Pô, não sei, alguém sinaliza para mim, por favor, se está tudo ok? Ok. Thanks, Smirna. Okay, so good evening, everyone. Welcome to one more sections of our live seminar. And before it starts tonight, I would like to tell you some things and give you some information. So I'll just make a break and try to speak in Portuguese, okay? And then we continue in English. Gente, boa noite. Antes de começar, como eu estou vendo aqui que tem alguns alunos iniciantes, alunos de primeiro semestre, eu só queria passar algumas informações em português mesmo, porque a nossa live hoje ela será conduzida em língua inglesa, então só esse momento de informes que eu vou passar aqui em português, ok? Para quem estiver acompanhando. Então, primeiramente, eu gostaria de avisá-los que, a partir de hoje, o nosso ciclo de lives, ele passa a ter um formato diferenciado, né? Nós teremos certificações para as nossas lives. Quem participou das anteriores, não se preocupe, porque vocês também não irão perder esse momento. Então, nós iremos divulgar as inscrições pelo SGE. Em breve, Rochelle vai passar maiores informações também. Mas mesmo que ainda não tenha sido feita a inscrição, já vai ter um link aqui para a lista de presença, ok? O link está na descrição do vídeo e também vai circular no chat. A gente vai abrir daqui uns 10, 15 minutinhos. E aí vocês podem preencher o formulário que vai atestar a presença de vocês aqui na live, ok? Daqui uns minutinhos já está lá na descrição, mas a gente vai compartilhar aqui no chat também. Deixa eu ver o que tinha mais aqui de informe. Eu acredito que era só isso. Enfim, participem, interajam com as nossas palestrantes super especiais aqui dessa noite, coloquem comentários, perguntas, fiquem à vontade, ok? So, now in English, today we have two special guests. We have here Maria Amélia and Valeria Schettini, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about them. I'm going to read here, okay? So, Maria Amélia Lima Silva holds a master's degree in Literature, Culture, and Education and Language from the State University of Southeast Bahia, UESB, postgraduate in Applied Linguistics for the Portuguese language, Applying Linguistics for the English Language and Psychology of Education from the State University of Southeast Bahia, UESB, and Management and Development of Human Beings from the Institute of Higher Education, Juvencio Terra. She is an effective professor at the State University of Bahia, UNEB, at the Department of Human Science, UNEB Campus VI, in the city of Caetité, Bahia. She is interested in research in the areas of applied linguistics for language teaching and learning, language studies from the perspective of discourse analysis, research in basic education, English language teacher training, and also studies on the construction of the professional identity of English language teacher. And Valeria Schettini. Valeria Schettini Freire is currently with the British Red Cross in the Refugee Service. She holds a master's degree in Literature, Culture, Education, and Language from the State University of Southwest Bahia, UESB, and she is graduated in History from the State University of Southwest Bahia, And she also graduated in literature from Metropolitan University of Santos, postgraduate in methodology of Portuguese and foreign language teaching from International University Center, and she has experience as an interpreter from the non-governmental organization Pioneer Mission. Okay, so now with you, Professor Amélia. Go ahead, Amélia.
Thank you, Kayla. Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to warmly welcome to our web seminar participants. And thank you for taking time just to be here with us, sharing some knowledge, some experiences, and some ideas. We hope you are safe and healthy, as well as your families. We had to anticipate our live tonight because of the time zone for Val, our guest, because she's in England. We're pleased to welcome Valeria Schettini Freire, our special guest, who kindly accepted our invitation. Starting our live, I will give a brief introduction, and then we will pass the word to our guest. In fact, before I do, I'd like to address my students to say something. Listen. Every time I have said in class that you should allow yourselves to leave your comfort zone, free yourselves from the many restraints that you have created, and not to be afraid to admit your failures and learn from them. I can say now that when you talk, it seems a lot easier. But in the middle of this struggle I find myself in now, I thank you because your desire to learn and to win gives me the courage to overcome my own obstacles. Okay, going on, the title of our live is The Discursive Construction of Identities in the Context of Education, Perspectives on Linguistics and Cultural Studies. Just a little minute. Just a little minute. Just a moment, please. I'll be reading to you. To talk about this moment we are living now. I don't know about you, my colleagues, my students, friends who are following us, but for me, it has been a very painful and difficult process to go through all these instabilities like we're going through now. You know, every process of change, every exercise of getting out of our comfort zones and moving into other spaces is frightening. Because change only fulfills its real function when it is from the inside out. So what's left for us to do? I believe that being paralyzed is not a good idea. Complaining that my English is not good, I can learn it, my course doesn't have a good quality, my area doesn't offer opportunities, there are no public policies, to encourage education, and so on. Maybe it would be most likely way to unload the suffocated feelings in times of pandemic. But by no means would that make you feel better. In fact, regarding to language learning, it is good to start by accepting the idea that everyone, without exception, is an eternal learner. Nobody knows everything. But in the process of learning, for me, first of all, the context of learning, teaching language is a space-time of construction and also deconstructions and co-constructions. Rajagopalan, 2003, has a lot of to teach us when he says, as atividades de ensino e aprendizagem de línguas estrangeiras fazem parte de um processo muito mais amplo que podemos chamar de redefinição cultural. Nesse processo, não faz o menor sentido falar em termos de perdas e ganhos. Nós simplesmente nos transformamos em outras pessoas. Afinal, na linguagem, é através dela que as nossas personalidades são constantemente submetidas a um processo de reformulação, ou aquilo que o filósofo canadense Charles Taylor batizou de self-fashioning. Well, the educational context, and specifically the context of language learning teaching, is also a space-time of constant redefinitions, endless questions, many ups and downs. The dialogues we are waving here, whose foundations we have brought to the educational sphere, lead to one of the most studied concepts of all times in all fields of educational, of knowledge, the identity. For this reason, we have decided to make a theoretical cutout, bring authors in the areas of linguistics, applied linguistics, language studies, and cultural studies. Only a few lines of speech interacting with each other. It allows us to create this interaction with the research work that will be presented by our guest. Okay. Tonight, we are going to meet a research project that has too much meanings for citizens who are left to their lives, who have left their lives behind, and are trying to redefine their identities as Portuguese speakers, using English as a bridge language. It is inserted in the context of learning and also overcome many challenges. In my view, Valeria's work represents a source of inspiration for those who still believe in education. It is the awakening of initiatives that brings hope to us teachers, trainers, to other projects emerge also from our students. For those at home, perhaps in search of inspiration, or even discredited from their projects and dreams that pass through the academic world, it is worth sharing this story. Finally, we are pleased to welcome Valeria Schettini Freire, who kindly agreed to share with us just a little bit of her research with refugees in Brazil, sheltered by the non-governmental organization Compassive in São Paulo. In her research work, she investigates the Syrian refugees' experiences, seeking to comprehend how they negotiate meaning and reconstruct or deconstruct their linguistic and cultural identities, using English as a bridge language and as an instrument of mediation for this learning of the Portuguese language during their arrival and accommodation in the city of São Paulo. I still want to say that Val is a great friend of mine. Our families have become very close. As we get closer, I have seen how admirable she is. Valeria's dissertation is the reflection of the brilliant work she did on her master's degree. She's also going through the process of learning English language, now immersed in an English language contest with so many accents.
That's true.
Val, you are the most risk taker person I ever met in my life. And it had helped me. It helped me to reflect upon my own professional career. I'm proud of you. Thank you for accepting our invitation. The floor is yours. Thank you so much.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Oh, great. The pleasure is mine, first of all, and I'm very honored to be here. It was a very glad surprise when you invited me to be part of this webinar. And I was like, gosh, it's a challenge as well. I mean, I'm very, how can I say, I'm very conscious about my subject and very close to everything that I wrote because it was very hard. I mean, but you have helped me from the start. You guide me during some parts of it that I was completely lost from the start because I started reading many amazing theories and I didn't know which theory should I go for. Uh, uh, Despite I knew my subject from the start, but I wasn't very close to it from the start. So you really helped me to understand my subject and what I want to bring out from it. So I just have to thank you many times, many times. And when you see that I'm an inspiration, that's like, oh, well, you are my inspiration. Okay, but we can follow it instead of like talking like this. But people who know you, they know what I mean. So yeah.
Okay, let's start interviewing our guest.
You're
Val,
talking.
the title of your dissertation is the title of your dissertation is. Can you read it for us? I don't know
Yes, I
if I
can.
had.
Um, Indícios de redesconstrução identitária de falantes de inglês como língua ponte, refugiados da Síria no Brasil, acolhidos na ONG Compassiva.
I'd like to know why did you choose this subject as the object of your research?
I think it was a kind of meeting that was supposed to happen. Uh, from the start, I was like, I really want to study the master's degree at the University of Wesby in our town. And then I started to think, what's the thing that really touched my heart? Because I know it's hard when you start to write, and it's very challenging also. So I started to think about the subjects and the many research that I was doing already about things that I was interested in. So I read an article written by Stephen Hawking. That article was published on the Washington Post in 2014. And that's a very interesting article. I would say that everyone should, like people who are watching, if you are interested to know what inspired me, that article was one of the things that inspired me. And he wrote that what happens uh, in Syria is an abomination, one that the world is watching coldly from distance. Where is our emotional intelligence, our sense of collective justice? So when he was a kind of challenging people about what was happening in Syria, and then I had read another article talking about the condition of many children around the world. So, and I was like, gosh, there are something very terrible happens around the world, and I think we should give it voice. And then I was talking to a friend of mine, and she knew about that project in São Paulo, the project called Compassiva. She told me about that project, and I was like, What really? So they, from the beginning, they started to help Syrians. In fact, are not just Syrians, but people from Syria, because many people who are refugees from Syria, they are not, they didn't, they wasn't born in Syria. So, and then I started to make some research about the compassiva, and then I kept in touch with them, and then they told me, yeah, you could be very welcome here, and yeah, from that on, my research started. But in fact, I would say everything related to it, mainly the fact that I decided to study literature. I don't know if you know that here in England, when we say that, for example, que eu estudei letras, I have studied like letras in Brazil. It doesn't make sense as letras, so they say like, okay, you studied literature. So because if I translate it for English, it doesn't make sense. So and then they say, oh, okay, you studied literature, and the focus was in Portuguese literature or like English literature, something like this. So yeah, uh, when I moved to England the first time in 2006, and I lived here for almost 2 years, and I have experienced many frustration about learning a language, and we have spoken about that already. So and for that reason, after the experience that I had here in England, when I moved back to Brazil, I was like, wow, I want to study something related to culture and language. And that was the way I became interested in studying culture and literature. And yeah, so when I started to think about applying for the masters in USB University, I was like, was is that it was a kind of uh, puzzle, and every piece of the puzzle was becoming like attached. So and then what happens was that I was studying already literature, and um, that article that I read from Stephen Hawking, and my conversation with my friends, and the contact with Compassiva, and it all was like glue. And then I started to write a kind of pre-project about refugees from Syria and the contact that they have with English, Portuguese languages. Yeah.
Do you face any difficulty in carrying out your research?
Um, I would say from the start, it was hard because I had no idea about the conflict in Syria. And although I have read the article, I didn't know much about that. And then I started to read, and my first graduation was history. So everything I need from the start, thinking historically. And yeah, so the difficulties that I faced on my research were most related to understand the conflict in Syria. And also, when I went to Compassiva to be there on the site itself, uh, the culture, I didn't know much about it. I just made a quick research before my travel to there, to São Paulo. And then when I got there, I had the a great experience to meet some very sensible people from Syria, and they shared the experience with me. And then I started to understand more about their culture, culture. And then they told me that I started to see that they are very like Brazilian people. They like to receive people at home. They like to have like big families around them. And I saw, wow, I didn't have that idea that they have this kind of culture. And Compassiva was very supportive during the whole time when I was there and before going to there, because I had to get many information from them to understand how compassivo works, and to, to write the questionnaires that I would use for my research. And also, um afterwards, I mean, after my time there, they were very supportive, and also the people from Syria that I met there, they were very supportive. But one of the hardest thing for me doing the research, the difficulty, I would say, uh, was like, among everything that was happening, to understand every bit of the requirements from Plataforma Brasil, and all the forms that we have to fill up, and how things must work in order for you to qualify. And that was challenging. That was challenging because I saw many people very frustrated when they went to the qualification and they didn't have all the papers right. I was like, gosh, I must have it right, because my research was in São Paulo. It's far from from Bahia. So, and I worked full time in Brazil. So I have to have a time to go there. And if I did something wrong, I could miss all the work I had done. So yeah, was the most difficulty thing was that thing.
How about your theoretical perspectives? How about your references?
My choices,
Can you tell
yeah, my
the
basement,
theories you adapt?
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So yeah, Amelia, you helped me a lot to understand it, because there are many amazing theories that could fit on my research. When you go to a site and you observe many things and you collect the material there, as an observe a person who is there observing, you can see that you can go to many perspectives. But first of all, and mainly, the thing that uh, catch my heart was the applied linguistics. So the perspective of the applied linguistics to bring out something that you are like studying and writing and knowing better theoretically, and then bring out something from it. This is amazing. So one of the person that I read from the start was Amado. She has an article from 2013, and she discussed the condition of immigration by refugee is one of the oldest of the planet. And I was like, really? So the condition of refuge is a very old condition on the planet. And then I was like very curious, uh, and then I thought, the book that I know that is the oldest one is the Bible. So if she's right, the Bible must have something about refugee. And she's right. I found the Bible, many texts discussing about that says about refugee. And the seeds of refuge appears in the biblical narrative in the Old Testament. Uh, and the main references are on the book of Numbers and the book of Joshua. So, and there are either three cities in either side of Jordan River. So it means that people from the cities that were established on one side of the river, they would have
Yeah.
established. They would have three towns of refugees, and the other side as well. So the cities of refugees served during that time as a type of asylum for murderers. However, there was a clear restriction regarding the type of murder. So only the person who didn't intend uh, to to kill someone could resort in that cities of refugees. Not any kind of, but only for the murders, but only if they didn't intend to took someone's life. So, and then from that on, I was thinking, wow, because I know that many countries they the look that they have when they see a refugee site is like there were many kind of like robbers and murders around that place. And I think maybe this is a kind of inheritance from the old kinds of refugee places, refugee cities. But yeah, anyway, so and from that perspective, I started to think about, to study about the English and the global perspective of, or the global understanding about the English. And I think most of people, some of you who are listening to us, you have heard already about the inner, outer, and the expanding circle of Kashiru, and is a there is a many resource written from 1985. So uh, a lot of people uh, embraced that theory. From the start, I found that theory like, wow, how amazing. It really makes sense. There is an inner, outer, and a kind of expanding circle around the world. Everyone should be like speaking English in a certain time in the future. But the fact is, um I agree with that perspective of the global English, but not completely, because not everyone around the world will speak English. So, from that perspective, we could think like some people speak English, other people are already learning English, and other ones are about to learn English, about to start learning English. But that's not true. Many people wouldn't ever learn English or would ever be interested in learn that language. But for another point of view, we see that that language spreads around the world, and it's the global language that we can use everywhere. So, but the most interesting thing for me is the idea that everyone can be the owner of the language. So, so nobody's the from Hajan perspective, nobody's the owner of the language, but paradoxically, yeah,
Yeah,
but
no.
paradoxically, yeah, nobody's the owner of the language. Who's the owner? The Americans, the British, the New Zealand people? No, nobody is the owner of the language. But from another perspective, paradoxically, it belongs to everyone or anyone who speaks it. So that's the amazing thing. For okay, so no speaker has the privilege of the status to be the owner of that language, but everyone can hold it. So regardless the mode or the form that person expressed herself or himself in the language, but the point is that language is not tied to a place, but in fact it is a social fact. So language performance mean that's the thing that I love about Rajan, because that is his perspective. Language performance means gaining a voice in a language, appropriating its forms and conventions for your own purposes. So you learn a language and then you use it the way you want for your own purposes. So this is the theoretical part that I
Already
really
defining our identities.
sorry, I didn't hear you.
We are all redefining our identities when
Exactly through the language. And
yes.
you were saying,
Can you hear me?
now I can, because when we start to speak I cannot hear you properly, but then I can. You were saying.
Rajan said that we are all redefining our identities because we are learning a new language. Every time you
Yeah.
learn a new language, you are redefining your identity.
Yeah, exactly. And I can say that I live it by experience. Like one of the theories that I really embraced from the start was Coracini theory about learning a new language, because she explains the process. For me, she explains the start of the process. It doesn't mean that her explanation about learning a language is about the full process of inscribing yourself in another language. Coracine's conception, she says about the journey of learning a foreign language implies in the need of bury. So, in some way, the mother tongue going through a process of mourning and all the implication exist into it. So, it's like your own language is kind of dying. So, and you start to inscribing yourself in the language of other, and then in that case in a foreigner, and in the culture of other as well. So what she wants to say is that learning a language is like an internal and an individual construction, but for me it is also it is also consolidated in a social cohesistence. So it's not something just personal, but and that implies giving up in certain point your own language. It's not that means that you are not speaking your language, but you need to insert yourself and to go deeper to the another language. And for that reason, you need to understand better the culture, and you need to start giving up in certain point. And for many people, it implies uh, in a kind of bury the language. So Coracini argues that learning the language of other can mean liberation and healing as well. So that's very profound. It's speaking metaphorically, and it generates feelings of pleasure by who knows how to be part and to be recognized as part of the other. And that other is no one. It means that that other is the one in whom we build ourselves. Is a relationship of otherness. I love it. I love the idea of otherness, and it's also defined by Bakhtin. For me, here when Coracini says about that, be part, the idea of being part. I don't know if anyone who is like watching us have lived in another country, but it's very painful when you move it from your country, from your comfort, uh, in somewhere in that you can recognize yourself everywhere around. And then you know that the song Sampa, um, you fala. I need to tell that in Portuguese, okay, guys? Because I won't translate sample; it doesn't make sense. Uh, Caetano Veloso says: Narciso acha feio o que não é espelho, e a mente apavora o que ainda não é mesmo velho. It means when you do not recognize yourself in front of you, your mind blew out. It's like it's very
Yes.
hard. It's very hard. And then I remember when I first moved to England, the only sentence that I could say, the whole sentence would be, "The book is on the table." And then if if another person would say something else, you know, I would be like, so it's very hard when you have to buy food, when you have to get a bus, when you have to see the doctor. You are in pain, you go to a hospital and you are in pain. How to express yourself and to explain how do you feel. And also when you don't find anyone around you that you can recognize yourself on that person or on that place. So when Caetano Veloso says, Narciso acha feio o que não é espelho, that's true. I was in London and I was like, you don't feel like everywhere is so beautiful or pretty, because I wasn't there like making a tourist in a tourist holiday. I was there to live. So and that's very scared. It's very, it fears me.
Frightening. Yes.
Frightening, exactly. And but I love the idea that Coracini brings, that the other is the one in whom we build ourselves. So we build ourselves mainly when you are learning a language. We build our. This is clear for me because we build ourselves in our relationship with other. So this is the otherness that Bakhtin expressed. I don't know if everyone who is listening to us understands the meaning of otherness, the alteridade, alteridade. That's the idea
Outra
of
idade,
otherness.
Freire.
Exactly. Another one, yeah. I don't know if you have the slide there, because I think it's better for people to read that
Yes.
passage. Bakhtin 2010, the first one.
Let's see.
So I'm gonna start reading here, and then we can gain time. Like, um, I think most of people who are like listen to
You
us.
see now? Did you see?
Sorry? No, I
Did you
don't.
see mine?
No, I cannot. No,
Oh, please.
but I can read it here anyway. Através da palavra, defino-me em relação ao outro, isto é, em última análise, em relação à coletividade. A palavra é uma espécie de ponte. Haha, it brings my conception, but anyway.
Mhm.
Uh, so, através da palavra, defino-me em relação ao outro, isto é, em última análise, em relação à coletividade. A palavra é uma espécie de ponte lançada entre mim e os outros. Se ela se apoia sobre mim numa extremidade, na outra ela apoia-se sobre o meu interlocutor. A palavra é um território comum do locutor e do interlocutor. E pensando sobre isso, and thinking about that, I can tell you that another theoretical, another researcher and writer that I embraced as my own, I would say, was Bauman. And Bauman brings many questions about the psychological conditions that
Yes.
refugee generates, because it can generate mainly barriers for the learner. So people who are like refugee, they sometimes avoid to learn the language of the host country. So they go to a country looking for a refugee, for a refuge. And then when they got there, sometimes the psychological conditions of the refuge uh, makes them avoid the idea of learning the countries, the host country language. Bauman says que o anseio por identidade vem do desejo de segurança. Então, when he says that, it means you want to build yourself, or to see yourself uh, not as another person, but you also have a kind of identity that's not rigid, that is not fixed. So, and he says, o anseio por identidade vem do desejo de segurança, ele próprio um sentimento ambíguo, flutuar sem apoio, num espaço pouco definido, num lugar teimosamente, perturbadoramente, nenhum nem outro. Torna-se ao longo prazo uma condição enervante e produtora de ansiedade. Because that's the point. The person is not here or there. Thinking geographically, the person is in another country, but thinking about feelings and heart desire, the person is not there. So they speakers. The point is learn the other's language, culture can generate sometimes for mainly for refugees resistance, but not just for refugees, I would say. So the speaker's attachment is his variant, and his language is symptomatic, and denounces the cultural significance of his language represents to him. So it's like, will resist to learn your language because my language means a lot to me. My language means says about who I am. My language says about who I am from, where I'm from. So, and then it can bring resistance. So often the subject or to detach himself from the his from the person's own language. Uh, how can I say, is a kind of barrier that do not help the person go and emerge to the language of the others. So that, and then the person finds himself between. That's the word that was asking Daniela yesterday. How can I translate? Um, is a uh, place that you not belong. You don't find yourself in one place or in another place. You are at the middle of it. Is a kind in between places. So you are not there,
Yes.
but you are not here as well. So you are kind of in between places, feeling and mainly psychologically. So and Bauman says, uma vez tendo sido obrigado a me mudar, quando ele fala, né? Uma vez sendo obrigado a me mudar, expulso de algum lugar que pudesse passar pelo meu habitat natural, não haveria um espaço ao qual pudesse considerar-me ajustado. You are lost when you get there because that's not your place. So, como dizem,
Yes.
eu nunca estava ajustado, como dizem por aí, 100%. Em todo e em qualquer lugar eu estava, algumas vezes, ligeiramente, outras ostensivamente deslocado. So the demands, that's the point, that the demands of the real world change, the real world change impose to the individuals constantly resignification of themselves. So that's what the experiences require from us, is the resignification of ourselves, something that makes identity and belonging, the idea of identity and belonging, a kind of illusory concepts. So it is because essentially they suggest a kind of stability that does not exist, and it does not exist in the real world. It's not the refugee road, just, I would say, in everyone's world. We doesn't have a kind we don't have a kind of stable identity. Who am I? Who am I? So I think we are in constant move, in constant, we are constantly learning and improving and rediscovering. So uh, that's the thing. The stability of that idea, it doesn't exist. So we are not.
I can see,
Sorry.
I can see you in, I see you are deeply immersed in your experience with your research. Did you feel yourself uh, in any experience you have lived there in your locus space of research, or
I would
during
say. I would
your
say.
experience with
I would say that
researching?
most of things that I embraced as a theory, it was a kind of translating my feelings. When I say about Corazzini and the idea of buried your own language, I experienced that. And when I say about Bauman and that kind of resistance that we have sometimes when we, because when even for me, when I see that's the thing about the refugee condition, it breaks my heart because when I moved from my country, it was my decision. It was by choice. I had the choice to stay there. I had the choice to go to any other place. But then I decided to come to England, and the language here was English. I always had the desire to learn English. But then when I came here, when I had to face the road around me, and I couldn't recognize myself in that road, it wasn't my own. And then I started to resist to learn that language in certain point. It is paradoxical because it was my desire since I was a teenager, and then I started to resist to learn that language because it was painful. It was very painful.
Yeah.
It's not easy, but also it was challenging, and I love to be challenged. I mean,
I know
I
it.
think it helps us to develop ourselves. That's the point. If we stay in a comfort zone, we will never experience new things. We will never
Yeah.
learn new things. So when I started
Yes.
the master's degree as well, it was painful. It was hard. It was very hard from the start and at the end as well. If Diogenes is there, he knows that it was painful. It was painful, and but then I wasn't the same person at the end. So I could meet when I was doing my research, I could meet I could see my own experiences meeting the theory and also finding other subjects that was facing the same, or not the same, but the kind of pain that I had to face when I was learning English here. So the refugee from Syria in Brazil, it's very hard. They have to learn Portuguese, and from the start, most of them do not speak a word in Portuguese, and it's hard for them. It's not like for us Portuguese speakers to learn English. It's hard. Is a kind of challenge, but for them it's harder. So yeah, I can see myself in every corner of my research. And then when I see here when Bauman says,
I can say that the reason that's why
sorry, I couldn't hear you.
oh, sorry. Um, I can say that the reason for you chose that beautiful poem of Rafael Amor to put in our epigraph. That's the reason. Let's try to share the poem with the public.
Yeah, let me see.
Let's
You
see
cannot
if you can
share the
see.
slide. Can you share? Can you try to share the slide now? I think it's better if we see the words.
Can you hear me, Val?
Yeah, I can. I can hear you. I was asking you if we can share the
Yeah.
the poem.
Let's try to share the.
Yeah, let us try. If not possible, I have it here anyway. I can read it.
Yeah. Okay, let us try one more time.
Yeah, I see. It's not possible, but oh, great.
Let us try. Here. Here it is. Okay.
Yeah. Can you read it? I mean, because I can see there anyway.
Okay. Let me read that. Não me chames estrangeiro, porque o teu pão e o teu fogo me acalmam a fome e o rio e me convida o teu teto. Não me chames estrangeiro, teu trigo é como o meu trigo, tua mão é como a minha, teu fogo é como o meu, e a fome nunca avisa. Vive a mudar de dono. Não me chames estrangeiro, olha-me nos olhos, muito para lá o ódio, do egoísmo e do medo, e verás que sou um homem, não posso ser estrangeiro. Rafael Amor.
That when I found it, that really I felt in love for what I read, and it's very strong, and also it is full of history. And this is just a piece of it, just some lines,
Yes.
but it's a huge. This is there are the lyrics of a song, Rafael Amor. I think he's Spanish. I don't know from each country he is, but the lyrics are written in Spanish, uh, and he sings the song. And I think the lyrics itself can be very, it's very clear. But the point is, the foreigner can be anyone. The foreigner can be anyone. It could be me. And why I see the other person as a different person? It's just another person. How can I define that person as a foreigner just and that's it? And brings from it all the conceptions that we have, all the ideas that we have from that word. So the foreigner can be on one, but in fact it should be nobody, because he says, do not call me foreigner, do not call me estrangeiro, não chame estrangeiro. So who determines which is the strange and from which perspective? So from that epigraphy, I'm not bringing like answers, but I'm more like raising questions and trying to make the person who's gonna read it more interested, more curious about what is there. So there is another part of that epigraphy. I just want to quickly read it because it does make more and more sense. Each line that you read from it, makes more and more sense. I'm reading a book that says I did tell you that about that book, Bordering Britain. It's a very interesting book, and
Yes.
it says about the Britain Empire. It says about the Britain Empire, and not just ordering, but bordering Britain. So, and that part of the lyrics of his song says, não me chame estrangeiro, trazemos o mesmo grito, o mesmo cansaço velho, que vem arrastando o homem desde os fundos dos tempos, quando não existiam fronteiras. Antes que eles viessem, os que dividem, os que matam, os que roubam, os que mentem, os que vendem os nossos sonhos, os que inventaram um dia a palavra estrangeiro. It's like, why? From which time are you trying to define me? That's so. This is all about. I think it is it's a summarization. It's a summary of what you can find in my dissertation. Yeah, it's a summary. It's a kind of passion that I can see here, and everything that is there is a kind of passion for me. Yeah.
Okay. What conclusions have you reached out? Or would I say in conclusions, as you wrote in your acknowledgements?
Oh, that's a very tough question. Uh, so I think I found the idea of otherness, the alterity, the alteridade. That's the main thing that's the main overcome from my research, I would say. There are many things here that I would love to discuss. Can we see, can we meet each other another time?
Yeah.
There are many things that I would like to raise, but the things that I my conclusions, the overcome of it for me was the alteridade, the otherness, mainly, that I construct myself from the other and the other one, and me. Um, and also the idea that of I have to take my responsibility uh, in this world. So there are passions in my heart. There are things that I want to achieve. There are things that I want to learn, and I will carry on. I won't give up. So if people who are like watching us, they think like I cannot learn that language. It's very challenging. Yes, you can. We can. We are living in a internet era. So this is the time when you can learn whatever you want. So that's the main the main result that people can and they must face their fears, because from the people that I met during my research and from the people that I work with here in the British Red Cross, many experiences that I see here, they are facing their fears. They're facing the fear of learning another language. They're facing the fear of being in another country, the country that wasn't chosen by choice, but they came here and they are trying. Many of them come to here. They try to get their refugee status, but they are refused, and they become destitute. That's the worst condition that a person can
Yes,
have in that
the
country.
worst
It's
condition. Yes.
terrible. It's terrible. But then for the ones that get that condition, they do not give up. They just carry on, carry on, carry on. And then I have met many people that have faced really hard times in their lives in Brazil, through that research, and here in the British Red Cross. And then that's the outcome. Do not give up. Face your fears and learn that language, and make that language be your own voice. That's my thing. From the webinar today, I would say that. Not from my research, because I have many things about the research that I could share, but yeah.
Okay. Um, can I ask you about the choices you made here? If it helped you in some way to gain access to academic and professional opportunities in England?
Yeah, when I was in Brazil and I started to study literature, from the start it was because I had the experience here. I want to learn more about culture and I want to improve my English. So I thought, oh, literature could help me to learn or to understand many things. And then it came out the idea of the master's degree, and it was challenging. And I was like, I had many helpers, I would say. I mean, many people who were like advising me and go to this way or that way, it can help you. You were one of those persons. uh I can say persons here, okay, guys, it's not wrong. and then um I came to England. And I would tell you that I want to carry on study. Hopefully I will. And I applied here for two things that I saw that helped me, my studies, and the fact that I didn't stop studying in Brazil. Two things. When I went to the British Red Cross and I took the interview there, I had the interview there. Um, I could share my experience and my interest in refugees, and I explained to them a bit about my research during the interview. And I could see
Oh,
that it was a
that's
thing that helped me, to have the place there, to get the role. And also, I
yes.
applied here for the University of Bristol. uh, I want to do a master's here. I don't feel like I'm ready to go for a doctorate here, but I would like to study master's here. And some passion that I have since I was like teenager. And then I applied here for the university, and they accepted me. So I got that letter like, ah,
Oh,
yeah. So and and Diogenes
congratulations.
Diogenes and Fernanda, thank you very much indeed for your, for your letter, because you sent the letters to the university. It helped me a lot as well. But definitely, I sent to them all the certificates that I have, but the only certificate that I translated was the master's degree certificate. And then I got the letter, and then I was like, do they accept everyone that applies there? And I was talking to a friend. She was, are you crazy? Not at all. Not at all. This is a great opportunity, and you got it. So yeah, let us see what's gonna happen here. But I don't know yet. I don't know yet. But I have the place there. It's guaranteed. So let us see what gonna happen. But I really want to carry on my studies.
Okay. What's like to work in a British government agency like a Red Cross?
When I got there, I was like, really? I'm the British Red Cross? When you have a dream that is like the top, like you think one day I'm gonna work for the UN, the United Nations, or for a kind of Red Cross, because this is a kind of worldwide organization. So I worked for the British Red Cross as a recruitment and selection coordinator. Nowadays, there I interview people who are interested to volunteer to work for the refugee services that we provide. So for me, it's a big thing, and mainly because people in the British Red Cross, they're amazing. They help. They have been very patient with me about my English, about me improving my English. Now I have been here for 2 years. I would say that I'm improving much better. But from the start, the communication, the office communication, the emails. So it is all different. It's different when you learn Portuguese in Brazil, for example, in your own country, and you use it for many purposes. But when you are here, immersed in another culture, and you have to learn the way they communicate, the communications are done in every level, uh, like speaking, like writing emails, or like talking on the phone, or things like these. So yeah, they are helping me a lot to learn. So working in the British Red Cross has been a great pleasure.
Okay, well, one more?
I
Just
don't know.
one.
Are there any other like questions from students? No, I'm free. So let us carry on.
Okay, just one. Just one. Last but not least, in your opinion, the pandemic crisis, which has affected the whole world, can contribute in any way to the awakening of a new awareness regarding to the social and historical identities, our identities, such
Yeah.
as
So
crisis we are living now. It could
uh,
help in any way.
yeah. I mean, it's it's more like personal opinion, and opinion from things that I'm reading, and things that I can see around the world. So I think it is a chance to redefine global and personal perspectives from what we are living. So that's the chance for us to redefine many perspectives, not just global but personal. Uh, and despite the present feelings of powerless, because nobody feel like I can do something. I'm the savior. So it's a powerless feeling that we are all facing in many levels. I mean, personal level, governmental level. So we see the governments trying to make their best to avoid the pandemic or to protect their people. So there are choices to be made about what kind of futures are waits for us. What kind of future waits for us? After COVID-19, everything could be in question. Everything and value that we have, we can see that during this pandemic, we see the strengthening of the state and the reinforce of the nationalism, and the globalization is being questioned, not directly, not clearly, not now yet, I would say. But we see that the governments are trying to protect their own people, their states, and their companies are seeking to reduce future vulnerabilities also. So we see that there are many tendencies here, like the reinforcement of the idea of nationalism, and also the 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 retreat from hyper globalization. So people are like, yeah, not now, not here, you know. And but we can see that the most affected people are already the ones who are in more fragile situation. So yeah, I think thinking about identity is the time to redefine us ourselves, to redefine ourselves, and to see around, and to make questions, and to make decisions, and to recognize how fragile we are, and do not call me estrangeiro, you know. So nowadays, how can we say that? That's the idea of you or me. Everyone, it's we can see it's at the same condition. We see that the developed
Condition.
countries, the developed countries, they have more like hope, and they are like investing in research, and they probably gonna get the vaccination firstly and the medication firstly. But there is no
No
guarantee as
doubt.
well. Yeah, but there's no guarantee as well. People who are like starting to get that vaccination can die as well, because we don't. It's very fast. It's a very fast research, and who can guarantee the outcomes from that research? So we are in a very fragile condition. So through that, I think we are redefining ourselves again. Yeah,
Yeah, so fast.
yeah.
Val, what kind of advices should you give for our students, for those who think about studying abroad, despite the real circumstance we are living now?
Yeah, when you asked me about the outcomes from my research, I was trying already to introduce this kind of thing. Is that I know you are in a small town. I know that you are sometimes disencouraged for many situations that are around you, and sometimes I think the most hardest condition that we have to face are inside
Yeah.
on us, uh, because sometimes we let the fear paralyzed paralyze us. So, and I just would like to tell you, if you have dreams, I dreamed about learning English when I was 12 years old. My family didn't have condition to pay for a English course for me in Brazil, and then after I finished
Yeah.
the university, some years after I finished the university, because I worked full time and I was studying. So I had the money because I was a professional already, and but I was studying as well. So I didn't have the opportunity to study during the my studies at university when I was studying history. So just then I could start studying English. So I would say that I started to study English when I was 26, 25, 26 years old. So I'm still learning, I'm still improving, I'm still trying to read out like more um, how can I say, competence? I don't know. So I'm trying to enhance my English, and I will always. So I would say, do not give up on your dreams. So you have an amazing teacher here in front of me, the computer. And I would say, I know some teachers that you have at the university. I know that they would encourage you to and give you advice to carry on your studies. And despite, because I study English, I study literature, but it was just related to Portuguese literature. So it wasn't the one that I want to. I started at Wesby in Conquista. I started, but I had to give up for my master's degree. So I didn't carry on the studies of English and Portuguese literature at university. Um, but I would say, do not give up on your dreams. And sometimes we are not doing specifically what we want, but I see from my experience, sometimes we have opportunities, and if we lose those opportunities, we maybe not ready for the next one, for the next step. What I see is that the master's degree helped me to get the place at the university here, helped me to find and to get a job here. So, but it wasn't my first choice, because if I could choose from the start, if Conquista would offer me that, I wanted to study translation. So that was the course I wanted to study, translation, but it didn't have there in Vitória da Conquista. So I studied literature, and it helped me a lot. And look at people who I met there, who helped me to learn other things and helped me to build what I needed to be here and to conclude what I needed to conclude. So I would say, I would encourage you, go for it. Do not give up on your dreams, and get what you can. And then at the right time, you're going to get what you want, hopefully. Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much. I hope you all have enjoyed
I
our
love it.
meeting
You know
here.
that. I love it. You know that this kind of conversation, I really enjoy it. I was missing it. I need to go to the university here because I was missing it a lot.
Thank you, Val. Um, thank you very much. I've learned a lot with you tonight. I hope you get success in all you have to do there in England. Let's see if somebody have asked questions for us.
Yeah, let us see, Kayla. Is Kayla there? Hi, I can see you now. You're gorgeous.
Hi, I'm here now. Thank you so much, Amelia and Val. Thank you for sharing this special moment with us. Thank you, Val, for sharing a little bit of your experience here. I have some comments and some questions from our audience. We have some old friends here. Shayla, Warley, Professor Diogenes is here too.
Oh,
Yes.
yes.
I will see some comments, and there are some questions too. Just wait a little bit. Let me find here some of them. Warley, send a message for you. Okay, just a minute. Don't worry.
I missed you.
Oh, night. O Arlen says, duas lindas, saudade da afabilidade de Amélia e da simplicidade de Valéria. Let me see some more comments. Zelinda, comment about the process. It really was a very interesting trajectory before being involved in the project. I think it's about your research. Let me see some more here. Shayla, hello everybody. How nice to be here. Listening to Valeria. It's great to miss you all. Diogenes, hi everyone. Nice to see you all. Let me see some more comments here. Warley said, miss you all. I hope we have a good opportunity to get together very soon.
I hope you as well.
And okay, Warley said it's a great initiative, this project, to have this moment.
I agree.
And you agree? Yes, we have this moment here. Professor Diogenes, let me see here. Just a minute. Professor Diogenes said, I am glad you got accepted at university. Congratulations and good luck on your studies.
Thank you. Thank you, Diogenes. He helped me a lot.
Here, now we have our questions, okay? Professor Poliana, there's a question for you here. I totally agree with you, Valeria, when we say English belongs to everyone who speaks it. As Windows so states, it's debatable to think that anyone can learn or use a language without faking possessions of it. The ownership of English is one of the key issues in English as a lingua franca studies. Do you discuss EFL in some point of your dissertation?
Yes, I do. I do discuss about IFL on my dissertation, mainly because the conception that I brings out, the idea that I brings about English as a British language, comes from the conception of IFL, firstly. But for me, IFL has an idea of two people speaking a language that doesn't that is not from their home countries, but the point is about my specific research. The many refugees from Syria, some of them speak English, but some of them don't, but they have some knowledge in English. And Brazilian people, not anyone speaks English, not everyone speaks English. So there at Compassiva, I could see people, Brazilian people who didn't not speak English, and I could see Syrians who do not speak English using English. So it is not a conception of the IFL. IFL is that? Did I say right? So it's not that
Yeah.
conception of
EFL.
IFL. Yeah, it's not the conception of EFL. Is the conception is another conception here, because there are two people who do not speak the language who are exchanging words and communication in that language, trying to build some kind of communication, whether to fulfill a need because they are buying something, or because they are learning Portuguese and they are using English because they know some or few words. So that's the so I the conception are of EFL is one of the core from the start of my argumentation there, but then I build it up to bring out my conception of English as a British language that we didn't discuss here much, but that's the idea.
Okay, there are some more comments here. Amazing moment. Thank you, girls. I really enjoyed stay here, learning about her experience. I love it, this live. Congratulations a lot. It was amazing. You are wonderful. Professor Jones here.
Those are Kayla, I need to tell people we paid them to be there and to send this kind of comments. You need to know, guys.
Professor Jordan is not here anymore.
All my students get 10.
He said, sorry, but I need to go now. Thanks for this nice opportunity. Good job, Valeria, and congratulations. And Amelia for conducting this meeting in a such nice way.
Thank you.
Um,
Thank you.
good job for me too. Good job, Kayla. Thanks,
Amazing,
Professor.
Kayla.
Thanks, Valeria, for joining us. It was such a great moment. Okay, I think let me see here. I think there are no more questions. I agree, we need more moment like this. Okay. Okay. There are no more questions here in comments, so I have my own questions. Val,
Hi.
I know you have two little girls, two
Yes,
kids.
I do.
Yes, two cute kids. Yeah, I'd like you to tell us about their experience as language learners. How was their experience? If they have any cultural shock or any problems to communicate at school? Tell us a little bit about this,
Oh, that's very
please.
interesting. Yeah. So, Pietra, when I was studying my I did a post graduation in methodology of teaching English, and my TCC, I don't know how to say that and translate it. Anyway, my conclusion work, my work of conclusion, uh, I I I wrote an article about um, how children are able to learn two other languages despite of being already of literated. So that's the thing that I see here now with my kids. So Myra is 7 years old now. When we got here, she was 6, and Pietra was 8 when we got here. She's now 9. Pietra had some lessons, some English lessons. 1 year, I think, of English lessons in Brazil, and Myra none at all. So she didn't have any English lessons before coming here. So Myra is very talkative, you know that. Mari is like me,
Yeah.
like
Like her
talkative.
mother.
Yeah, Mari is very talkative, and Pietra is very shy. So Pietra, the course that she started there helped her a little bit because she could like recognize a few words. But for Myra, it was completely known. No idea how it would be. I tried to talk in English with them when they were younger, so the language was not completely strange for them. But
Yeah.
when you got here, Pietra, it was very challenging for both of them. Myra started to be shy and to close herself, and I didn't really understand because from the start, the first 2 weeks at school, she was very excited because the kids were like playing around with her. So she didn't have to communicate because the body language tells a lot when they are playing. But then I saw that she started to be challenged by the subjects at school, and she couldn't express herself. Although she sometimes could understand many things like maths, and from the pictures she could understand like the 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 little histories that they could like stories that they could like bring out at school. But then she closed herself. But after 6 months, both of them was like smashing me. Like, mom, you don't say that like this. You say like that. I used to say like what's the word? Value. Yeah. Value was a word that I would say like value. I think value. And Pietro was like, Mom, it's not value, it's value. It's value. I was like, okay, value. And they start to correct me. And I can see that Myra, who is the youngest one, Myra pick up the accent very quick, and her accent is very strong. And sometimes you're like, oh, really? And then Pietra is softer, her accent. I see that her language was stronger on her identity already. So for her, like she doesn't, I never ever told them to make the effort to pick up the accent. I don't mind about accent at all. But for them, I can see that the difference of age that they got here, Myra, the youngest one, pick up the accent very quick, and quickly, and Pietra has her own accent, her own identity more printed in the language, the way she expresses herself through the English language. But it
So at
was
home, do you have a moment to speak in Portuguese or in English, or it's not natural?
That's funny because I, from the start, I was making the effort to speak in English with them to help them to learn English quicker, to help them at school and whatever. And also, I wasn't allowing them to watch like movies or cartoons in Portuguese, just sometimes because they sometimes are, Mom, I listen to English all day long. Can I see a cartoon in Portuguese? I want to understand the whole conversation. And I was like,
It's a bad, mama.
and I was okay, you can. But then what happens after like 6 months? They started even playing with each other instead of using Portuguese language, using English. And now I can see even praying sometimes because I have the bedtime with them, even when they are praying. Mainly the youngest one, when she's praying, she mixed the language, Portuguese and English. So nowadays here at home,
In English.
we mix the two languages. There is a very balance I can see. And when they are playing to each other, mostly they speak like English. Most of time, they speak English. So yeah, it's funny. And sometimes when they come to complain, and it was funny because my husband is learning English, and his level of English is like basic to elementary, I would say, his level of English. But then when they started to learn English, and they were complaining to each other, and my husband told, What are you arguing about? What is the matter?" He said in Português, "Qual o problema? Por que vocês estão discutindo? O que é?" And then she came, "Oh, Daddy, she's mean to me because she blah, blah, blah," in English. And he was like, "Mayra, em português, eu não consigo te entender." And I was like, so we have really funny situations at home. We have really funny situations at home. But now they are my teachers.
That's such a great experience.
Yes.
So save my room because I'll be there in a few
Okay,
months.
it's saved. Come. There are space.
Okay. So girls, I think that's all for tonight. You can say some more words if you want. Okay. Go ahead. To our final
Just want
moment.
to thank you. Thank you, everybody, for helping us to live this moment, special moment. I hope you enjoy. Thank you, Val, for being with us, for accepting our invitation. It's really good to us. We learned a lot. Thank you, Kayla. And thank you all. That's great. I hope you enjoy it.
Yeah, I have really to thank you. I'm really glad I'm here, like sharing experience and uh, talking about things that are very precious to my heart. And uh, eu preciso falar em português. Eu falei em
Go ahead.
inglês na parte do tempo, eu preciso falar em português. Deixa eu abraçar minha língua. Deixa eu abraçar minha língua. Ah, gente, obrigada mesmo, foi uma experiência maravilhosa. Sinto saudade desse ambiente acadêmico, porque eu estou aqui há 2 anos e estou aqui no meu processo agora prestando prova do IELTS para ver se eu começo a fazer faculdade, mas definitivamente compartilhar experiência, trocar ideia, pensar teoricamente e pensar que a gente pode eu acho que a prática é extremamente importante, mas eu não acho que a prática sem a prática sem a teoria vira um pragmatismo que pode não dar em bons resultados. Mas a prática, associada com a teoria, ela é riquíssima, e ter estudado e ter pesquisado as coisas que eu pesquisei, e ter tido a oportunidade de, no meu país, na minha língua, estudar aquilo que eu estudei, entender várias teorias em relação à questão da aprendizagem da língua, a questão da identidade, faz com que eu possa me perceber e andar de cabeça erguida em relação à minha limitação, e não querer me comparar a um nativo ou a pessoas que estão aqui há muito mais tempo, sabe? Depois de ter vivido a primeira experiência de sair do Brasil, ter voltado para o Brasil e ter encontrado toda essa teoria e ter me aproximado e conhecido o que eu conheci dentro da teoria, fez com que eu tivesse ainda mais desejo de continuar estudando e de continuar aprendendo e de encorajar outros a aprenderem, porque não existe ninguém que possa dizer eu não posso aprender uma língua. Ah, você quer aprender inglês, vai aprender inglês, mas você quer aprender italiano, quer aprender francês, whatever, a internet está aí, sabe, para ajudar a gente. Mas para quem está aí, para quem está dentro do curso de letras com inglês, gente, é uma grande oportunidade. Agarra, explora Keila, explora muito ela, explora a Amélia, Daniela, explora esse povo aí, sabe? Que é um povo que é de encorajar a gente a fazer as coisas, porque é um povo de coragem, sabe? Eu estava muito perdida quando eu comecei o mestrado, apesar de estar muito apaixonada por muitas coisas, eu estava muito perdida em relação a para que rumo ir, para que lado ir. Vocês que estão aí, mestrado, doutorado, vocês sabem que não é fácil a gente se definir, porque o universo é vasto de teorias, mas ter pessoas que possam te guiar e te ajudar, não só no nível profissional, porque eu sei que essas são profissionais que, encontrando aquele estudante que está a fim de ir, ela vai ajudar de todo jeito, vai conversar, e vai ajudar, e vai empurrar, e embora, pega a mão e segue. Foi o que fizeram comigo. Tanto Keila quanto Daniela me ajudaram muito. Antes de eu começar o mestrado, elas estavam fazendo mestrado, lembra que elas estavam fazendo mestrado, eu falava, gente, como é que faz mestrado? Como é que é isso aqui? Aí, Keila, como é que tá seu currículo Lattes? Eu falei, currículo o quê, Keila? Tu lembra da conversa? Currículo o quê, Keila? Currículo Lattes, eu falei, eu não sei o que é isso, não, você pode me mostrar? Então, assim, não saber das coisas não é vergonha, sabe? E eu não sabia, eu queria entrar no mestrado, eu nem sabia o que era um currículo Lattes, eu nem sabia que você tinha que ter um currículo Lattes, não tinha ideia do que era. Keila queria saber como estava o meu currículo Lattes. Eu nem tinha currículo Lattes, como é que ele estava? Ele não estava, ele não existia. Então, assim, eu acho que nada é fator limitante. Eu sei que a gente está passando mundialmente por um momento muito difícil, mas por mais que se está desempregado, ou se está passando por dificuldade financeira, ou se a faculdade tem desencorajado, porque não estou motivado, não sei o quê, dê um jeito de encontrar motivação, porque eu acho que as oportunidades que nos vêm à mão são presentes, e abrir mão delas é, na verdade, abrir mão de outras futuras, porque às vezes quando tem gente que fala assim, não dei sorte, para mim eu tenho o entendimento de que sorte é quando uma oportunidade encontra alguém preparado para abraçá-la. E às vezes você encontra uma oportunidade, mas você não está pronto para.
Pronto ainda.
Então é isso. Então, assim, eu só tenho a agradecer. Obrigada, garotas. Foi muito bom todo esse momento, nosso preparo, nossas trocas, nossas conversas. Me diverti super. Viu? Que Deus abençoe vocês, e vocês aí que estão estudando, não sei quem está ouvindo, quem participou, obrigada também, eu espero que vocês não abram mão dos seus sonhos, tá? Encara, porque é sofrido mesmo, é um parto, cada coisa que a gente tem que encarar, e muitas vezes um parto, sabe? É muito dolorido, mas é bom ver o filho nascer, sabe? Ver o filho nascer e ter as crianças nos braços. Aqui minha criança, cadê? Eu quero publicar, eu tô vendo aí essa possibilidade, mas enfim. Aí, porque eu estava pesquisando, é bom ter a criança nos braços.
Que a gente estava, eu estava dizendo para a Val, que é isso, a gente, às
Faz
vezes, no nosso curso, a gente vê os nossos alunos, não sei, né, mas alguém pode ter essa dúvida, assim, puxa, para onde que eu vou agora? E eu vejo no trabalho dela a oportunidade de aprendizagem de línguas, sim, como ele comentou, o papel importantíssimo da língua inglesa como língua franca, e na oportunidade que Val teve de estar na Compassiva, um povo que não fala português, não fala inglês como língua franca, fala a língua materna deles e está fazendo dessa língua uma ponte para chegar na língua portuguesa. Esse trabalho é um dos poucos que existem aqui, o trabalho dela é inovador nesse sentido, e eu acho que esse gás aí para quem está, sei lá, pensando uma coisa diferente, mas que tenha um real sentido. Ela está totalmente imersa nessa proposta, ela acreditou e está seguindo, é isso aí.
É não ter medo, né? Eu acho que é não ter medo.
Não ter,
Aliás,
não
ainda
ter.
que tenha medo, encara
Vá
o
com
medo.
medo mesmo.
Vá com
Isso.
medo mesmo.
Enfrenta, né?
É o meu caso.
Mas
Eu vou.
esse espaço aqui para a gente, para mim, totalmente novo. Tanto é que a gente vê os problemas, né? As coisas que acontecem, mas assim, se você não enfrenta, se você não faz, você vai ficar presa a isso e não vai sair desse lugar nunca. É o que eu digo para os meninos lá, tá? A gente tem medo, é mais fácil é mais fácil a gente falar lá na sala, né? Do que tá vivendo realmente. Aqui é um struggling, né? Essa luta aqui o tempo todo. Mas se você não faz,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when Amelia invited me to have that conversation in English, I was like, really? In English? I can do that in Portuguese? Can that be in Portuguese? But it's challenge. I mean, é sempre um desafio, sabe? E eu acho que encarar desafio é a melhor coisa para a gente estar se reconstruindo, se redefinindo e crescendo, né?
sim.
Com certeza.
Mas é isso. Obrigada, gente. Obrigadão.
A gente que
Obrigadão.
agradece.
Obrigada a você. Espero que todo mundo tenha gostado e
I hope
a gente
so,
continua.
yeah. Eu só queria ver a cara de
Ainda.
todo mundo. Queria ver a cara de todo mundo, mas não pude, então.
A
It
gente
was great.
continua, né? As propostas virão novamente e a gente vai fazer tudo de novo. Val, foi muito bom ter você aqui com a gente. Keila, obrigada, viu?
Que é um cheiro. Você é lindona. Obrigada.
Outro, obrigada. Meninas, muito obrigada. Thank you all for sharing these great moments with us here. So I think that's all for tonight. Thank you, Val, again. Thank you, Amelia, again. And see you all here next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Our pleasure. Bye.
Bye.